what you just heard is the Brook Green Suite, movement number 1, Prelude by Holst. And this is the Debut Symphony Orchestra Excerpt for the HYS auditions for this year. One of the things that's super important, even before we start learning our piece, is that we take a look and we listen to recordings of this piece. If you look up on Spotify, YouTube, or any of your streaming services, music streaming services, you will find the Brook Green Suite. And the excerpt is around seconds like 30 to 40, which is where this section will actually start on your piece. Now, after listening to your piece a couple of times, maybe looking at a couple of videos on YouTube, it is very important that we take a look from beginning to end of all of the small little details that we can work on today on this tutorial video. Number 1, make sure you have a pencil with you and feel free to pause the video at any point so you can take notes on your music. Now, take a look at your tempo. The tempo is allegretto, quarter notes set to 1/16, and your time signatures is in 4/4. As you listen to when I played the excerpt at the beginning, I had the metronome on the whole time as I was playing, just where you could hear the quarter note feel as you were following along. Now, number 1, super important to mark. I actually like to mark them with a highlighter instead of a pencil. So if you're a highlighter fan, make sure you have a light color highlighter, and you can mark all of our dynamics. So starting from the beginning of your piece, you're going to have a mezzo piano. Skimming through, right before that Roman numeral 2, you're going to find a piano dynamic. Skimming on all the way until you see Roman numeral 3 or your line 5, you're going to find a forte, and right before that, 2 measures before, you're going to find a crescendo. The crescendo starts at the D sharp dotted half note, and even though it's not written like we're used to with the 2 lines, that crescendo is going to be starting there all the way till the end of that line, right before the forte on your Roman numeral 3. Then at the end of line 5, you're going to find a diminuendo for 1 measure that is going down to piano, a small crescendo on line 6, and then another decrescendo on line 7 right at the end of your excerpt. So make sure you have all of that marked. Number 2, another thing to take a look at. There are some divisi and some unison on your line 6. For this audition, you have to play the top line of the divisi. So for example, you're going to play the C natural to D. Where it says unis, it means unison, so you're playing that as written. And then the next measure after that, you're playing the G, A, B flat, and D. So we're not taking a look at the bottom line. We do not have to play double stops. We're only playing the top part for the audition. Make sure you have that marked. Same thing for your last note. It should be a G whole note, not a C. Now, if you're like me and my eyes deceive me a lot of times, it is super important as well that you mark all of your accidentals. This piece has plenty of accidentals, lots of B flats, lots of C naturals, F sharps, and etc. So especially those A flats that are coming in just a little bit, make sure you have those marked as well. It's very important as you're practicing that you focus on the intonation. And if you have a little bit of problem with intonation, first thing that I like to do is to separate all of the notes. So I'm going to take, for example, right on your 4th line, the first measure of your 4th line. I like to take them very slow, take off the bowings, take off the rhythms, and just focus on my A flat, C natural, A flat, F natural. So I know where all of my half steps are in my music, especially if you have any half steps that are across of the string. That means that you have one finger on one string and the other one is on the next string, but they're actually a half step from each other if you were to think of it, because the fingers are super close. So it's super important. You can mark those with like the backwards V, as some of my students do write it. So every single time you have intonation, drone, super important. Play them nice and slow. make up some rhythms with it, and then practice it like it's written, and then your intonation will be nice and clean. As well, this piece also has some tricky bowing. So if you would like as well, make sure that you write your bowing directions as you're playing through. Now, I think the biggest thing for this piece, one is dynamics, and two, which I actually think is the most important one, is your fingerings. There's plenty of ways to add fingerings, and your excerpt actually doesn't have any fingerings written. I personally like to be in third position for most of the piece. So starting off in third position. Being taught that stay in one string as much as possible, and I honestly love a lot of second position. After that C natural, I like to shift down to second position, and then shift back again to first position for the F natural. Now I understand that might be a little bit challenging, so you're able to stay in third position as well as the second way. Stay. You can stay in third position the whole time, or you can try to switch back into first position. The way that it is written, because it's mezzo piano and it's this very mellow tone that you're trying to get, it is very important that you play it in third position. But most importantly, all of these different fingerings that I'm giving you, choose them if you can play them with a nice tone. If not, choose a fingering that allows you to play with a nice and mellow tone. If you stay mostly in first position, you're going to get that bright sound on the E string a lot, which might deter from that nice and mellow sound that I was speaking before. Now, on your fourth line, second measure of your fourth line, I like to shift to third position a little sneaky. So I just played the measure with all of your accidentals. I'm on line 4, first measure. Instead of shifting up here, I like to disguise my shift by playing an open E, third position. So I'm ready for what's about to come with an E flat on your Roman numeral 3 or your 5th line. That way I don't have to shift to that E flat. I'm already in third position. Then I would actually stay in third position for most of it. For line 6, I actually went down to first position. So end of line 5, the F natural. Then I went down to first position. I shifted again. I stayed in third position all the way until the E, G. Again, those are my fingerings. I like to stay within one string as much as possible, just so I don't change so much the tone between strings. Again, choose the fingerings that suit you best. All right. Besides that, add vibrato on long tones, especially. Make sure you count those held notes the most out of everything that you play. Those tight half notes, make sure you count them super well. When you have a tight half note to a whole note, make sure that those are super well counted. Now, I'm going to go ahead and play the excerpt with 3 different tempos for you to practice. The first tempo that I'm going to choose is going to be at 65 beats per minute. And I'm going to leave the metronome set to quarter notes so you can hear it well. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2. The next tempo that I'm going to set it at is at 80 beats per minute. And the last tempo, in tempo, I'm going to set it to 1/16 to the quarter note. Thank you for watching. I hope this helps.